Well, hello. Thank you all so much for joining me today to study A Course in Miracles workbook for students. We're ready for Lesson 81, which is a review lesson. And A Course in Miracles workbook for students. We're reading from the original edition here on March the 22nd of 2023. I am the light of the world, and forgiveness is my function as the light of the world will be what we'll review. So let's look at the review preface. What we're to do, review number 2. We are now ready for another review. We will begin where our last review left off and cover 2 ideas each day. The earlier part of each day will be devoted to one of these ideas and the latter part of the day to the other. We will have one longer exercise period and frequent shorter ones in which we practice each of them. So we're going to practice, let's go ahead and keep reading here. The longer practice periods will follow this general form. Take about 15 minutes for each of them and begin by thinking about the idea and the comments which are included in the assignments. Devote about 3 or 4 minutes to reading them over slowly, several times if you wish, and then close your eyes and listen. Repeat the first phase if you find your mind wandering, but try to spend the major part of the practice period listening quietly but attentively. All right? So we'll do 2 lessons, one in the morning and one in the afternoon or evening, one in the earlier part of the day and one in the latter part of the day. And what we'll do is we'll take the first 3 or 4 minutes of that 15 minutes, to read through the lesson and to let it kind of soak in, understand it. And then spend the rest of that 15 minutes, the other 12 minutes or so, 10, 11, 12. I wouldn't get too caught up on the exact, because if you find your mind wandering and getting caught up on things like that, you want to go back and read the lesson again. Start at the beginning. He's going to tell us that. There is a message waiting for you. Be confident that you will receive it. Remember that it belongs to you and that you want it. Do not allow your intent to waver in the face of distracting thoughts. Realize that whatever form such thoughts may take, they have no meaning and no power. Replace them with your determination to succeed. Do not forget that your will has power over all fantasies and dreams. Trust it. Trust your will, the will that's one with God. Trust it to see you through and carry you beyond them all. Let's go back to paragraph 2 again. The longer practice period will follow this general form. Take about 15 minutes for each of them and begin to think about the idea and the comments which are included in the assignments. Devote about 3 or 4 minutes to reading them over slowly, several times if you wish, and then close your eyes and listen. We didn't even read that. I'm sorry, we skipped that. Then close your eyes and listen. Repeat the first phase of reading it. Repeat the first phase if you find your mind wandering, but try to spend the major part of the practice period listening, quietly but attentively. Listening quietly but attentively. There is a message waiting for you. Be confident that you will receive it. Remember that it belongs to you and that you want it. Do not allow your intent to waver in the face of distracting thoughts. Realize whatever form such thoughts may take, they have no meaning and no power. Replace them with your determination to succeed. Do not forget that your will has power over all fantasies and dreams. Trust it to see you through and carry you beyond them all. Regard these practice periods as dedications to the way, the truth, and the life. Isn't that nice? Regard these practice periods as dedications to the way, the truth, and the life. Refuse to be sidetracked into refuse to be sidetracked into detours, illusions, and thoughts of death. You're dedicated to salvation. Be determined each day not to leave your function unfulfilled. Reaffirm your determination in the shorter practice periods as well, using the original form of the idea for general application and a more specific form when needed. Some specific forms will be included in the comments. These, however, are merely suggestions. It is not the particular words you use that matter. Okay, though, so these italicized, let's go look at our lesson for today. Lesson 81 here on March the 22nd. Hey, before we do that, let me tell you about some holidays that are today. I found it's American Red Cross Day, As Young as You Feel Day, World Water Day, that's the United Nations, World Water Day, National Sing Out Day. We'll sing a song to close. Should have had a flower yesterday, shouldn't we? International Flower Day, I think it was. National Goof Off Day, Ugadi Day, Ugadi. It's a Hindu ceremony. It's the Lunar New Year, first new year after the spring equinox, and there's lots of different names in different parts of the world that they celebrate that first new moon after. But in one of the Hindu words is Ugadi, or I think that's how you pronounce it. And then there's Saint Lee feast. That's Saint Lee of Rome feast. And then there's and Ramadan begins today, the Islamic day of where they fast, where the Islam man fasts. Is it for 40 days? I think. But you can eat it at night after the sundown, but during daytime you don't eat during Ramadan, and that starts this evening at sundown. Okay, our ideas for review today are 61 and 62. 61, I am the light of the world. How holy am I, who have been given the function of lighting up the world? Let me be still before my holiness. In its calm light, let all my conflicts disappear. In its peace, let me remember who I am. Some specific forms for applying today's idea when specific difficulties seem to arise might be, let me not obscure the light of the world in me. And remember, he says these don't have to be exact words, but they give you a sense. He said, it's probably better if you come up with your own words on these. But he's giving you some examples. And, using these if you need to, when you're feeling, the trick is catching yourself when you're not happy and recognizing that you're holding a grievance. And then applying this, some applications that he suggests that you use. Let me not obscure the light of the world in me. Or if you feel a difficulty coming up and, some irritation, you might say, let the light of the world shine through this appearance. Wow, it looks like somebody just, got upset. Somebody just got sick, got hurt, died. But those are appearances. And that's we're trying to, this realization that there is a reality that's beyond the appearances. This shadow will vanish before the light. A nice way to see it. Only love is real. Let's see just love. And then in lesson 62, the review is forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. It is through accepting my function that I will see the light in me. And in this light will my function stand clear and perfectly unambiguous before my sight. My acceptance does not depend on my recognizing what my function is, for I do not yet understand forgiveness. Wow, there's a lot to forgiveness. It applies to everything, anything that you're not happy about. Forgiveness is the answer. Yet I will trust that in the light I will see it as it is. Specific forms for using the idea might include, let this help me learn what forgiveness means. Let me not separate my function from my will. I cannot use this for an alien purpose. You're looking at something and it's kind of disturbing you. You could say, I'm not going to use that to follow a different will other than God's. That might be a way of putting what he's saying into different words. I would not use this for an alien will. Imagine something that might cause you to kind of step back and be a little bit apprehensive, afraid, scared, irritated, whatever, and then say that I would not use this for an alien purpose. I'm not going to let that cause me to follow another will other than the one will, other than God's. All right. Well, and I would encourage you, if you have, these lessons might be good to carry them with you today. If you have, like I got this from Foundation for Inner Peace, the lessons, which is really nice. It's got the review written on the back, and then it's got the lesson for today, and carry it in my pocket. That way I can review it, because it's just nice to have that, or write it out. There's been many years I just wrote the whole lesson out because, and I'm still learning things. It's like, wow, this book is written at such a deep or a high level that it seems like we just can't get it all. And it's been many years of reading it through for me, and I'm getting things just today in our text reading. Matter of fact, we'll talk about it, that I hadn't really got the depth of it. I still may not be getting the depth of it, but I got a lot better now. We're ready for Chapter 9, the correction of error, and we're going to read the introduction and Section 2, Sanity and Perception, first couple pages. While you're turning there, let me tell you about Out of the Seed Savers Exchange, and is a early scarlet globe radish. And that is, what is that? It's a Raphanus sativus. And let's see, what else do I have? The round, early scarlet globe. The round, bright red 1-inch globes of this iconic variety are perhaps the most commonly seen radish in home and market gardens. This dependable variety can be planted in the spring or fall and is both easy to grow and quick to mature. 20 to 28 days. Anyway, we know about radishes. They're quick to mature. All right, the correction of error. The alertness of the ego to the errors which other egos makes is not the kind of vigilance the Holy Spirit would have you maintain. Egos are critical in terms of the kind of sense they stand for. They understand this kind of sense because it is sensible to them. To the Holy Spirit, it makes no sense at all. To the ego, it is kind and right and good to point out errors and correct them. This makes perfect sense to the ego, which is totally unaware of what errors are and what correction is. Paragraph 2. So the alertness of the ego to errors which other egos make is not the kind of vigilance the Holy Spirit would have you maintain. So keep that in mind. We're going to dig deep into this idea. Errors are of the ego, and correction of errors of any kind lies solely in the relinquishment of the ego. When you correct a brother, you're telling him that he is wrong. He may be making no sense at the time, and it is certain that if he is speaking from the ego, he will be making no sense. But your task is still to tell him he is right. Your task is still to tell him he is right. You do not tell him this verbally if he is speaking foolishly, because he needs correction at another level. Since his error is at another level, he is still right because he is a son of God. His ego is always wrong, no matter what it says or does. If you point out the errors of your brother's ego, you must be seeing through yours, because the Holy Spirit does not perceive his errors. This must be true if there is no communication at all between the ego and the Holy Spirit. The ego makes no sense, and the Holy Spirit does not attempt to understand anything that arises from it. Since he does not understand it, he does not judge it, knowing that nothing it engenders means anything. Since he does not understand it, he does not judge it, knowing that nothing it engenders means anything. So, it's been a hard lesson for me to learn through the years, to not want to, this stuff bubbles up in me and I want to share it with others. And a lot of times my sharing is, the way you're doing things is not right. And that's not what we want to do. That's what I'm trying to say. This has been a lesson that's taken me many years to really get. And that's why I say I keep reading this book, and I thought I had it. And then I read it today and I go, I could do way better on this one. Matter of fact, even though I knew it, I don't really think I knew it. You see what I'm saying? I kind of got a scratching of the surface, but there's a lot more depth to what forgiveness has to offer. Sanity and Perception, Section 2, Paragraph 4. When you react at all to errors, you are not listening to the Holy Spirit. He's merely disregarded them. And if you attend to them, you are not hearing him. If you do not hear him, you are listening to your ego and making as little sense as the brother whose errors you perceive. This cannot be correction, yet it is more than merely lack of correction for him. It is giving up of correction in yourself. When a brother behaves insanely, you can heal him only by perceiving the sanity in him. Wow, that's the first sentence, paragraph 5. Let's read that again. When a brother behaves insanely, you can heal him only by perceiving the sanity in him. Remember, everything that a brother does has an initial inception or first thought, a first feeling, or a prior feeling or a prior thought. If it's not the first, it's still one that is precedes the manifestation of his filters and the overlay that he's put on it, and why he thinks it's a good choice, or why she thinks it's a good thing to do. We're not looking at that surface level. It may be what's occurring, but we want to look underneath it to see what is the God part in that thought. What's the one thing that I know has to be true about underneath it all? Sometimes you have to really open your mind big to be able to see that God's the prime mover in all things. But that's how we see the Holy Spirit, by looking for that in our brother. And we'll see it in ourselves if we look in it of our brothers. When a brother behaves insanely, you can heal him only by perceiving the sanity in him. If you perceive his errors and accept them, you're accepting yours. If you want to give yours over to the Holy Spirit, you must do this with his. Unless this becomes the one way in which you handle all errors, you cannot understand how all errors are undone. How is this different from telling you that what you teach, you learn? Your brother is as right as you are, and if you think he is wrong, you are condemning yourself. Paragraph 6. You cannot correct yourself. Is it possible then for you to correct another? Yet you can see him truly because it is possible for you to see yourself truly. It is not up to you to change him, but merely to accept him as he is. Isn't that something? Read that again. It is not up to you to change him, but merely to accept him as he is. Can we start doing that better? I know I can. His errors do not come from the truth that is in him, and only this truth is yours. His errors cannot change this and can have no effect at all on the truth in you. To perceive errors in anyone and to react to them as if they were real is to make them real to you. Isn't that amazing? You will not escape paying the price for this, not because you're being punished for it, but because you're following the wrong guide and will lose your way. 7. Your brother's errors are not of him any more than yours are of you. Accept his errors as real, and you have attacked yourself. If you would find your way and keep it, see only truth beside you, for you walk together. If you would find your way and keep it, see only truth beside you, for you walk together. You know, you walk, we've got the way you're going to see your brothers, the way you're going to see yourself, because we walk together. So we want to start looking beyond the ego or the illusions and see the truth that's in every exchange, in every act, in every thought. Underneath it, there's a God part. And we want to see that in our brothers. If you would find your way and keep it, see only truth beside you, for you walk together. The Holy Spirit in you forgives all things in you and in your brother. His errors are forgiven with yours. Atonement is no more separate than love. Atonement cannot be separate because it comes from love. Any attempt you make to correct a brother means that you believe correction by you is possible. And this can only be the arrogance of the ego. Correction is of God, who does not know of arrogance. The Holy Spirit forgives everything because God created everything. And just in way of mentioning, the Holy Spirit looks at everything and totally disregards the illusion. Anything that's based out of separation and fear is an illusion, even if it forms a world that seems real, that, it seems real, it's tangible, you can touch it, but that doesn't make it real. That makes it it's a learning place, a place to be in school. He's going to get into that idea. Any attempt you make to correct a brother means that you believe correction by you is possible, and this can only be the arrogance of the ego. Correction is of God, who does not know of arrogance. The Holy Spirit forgives everything because God created everything. He's not going to see any illusions in you or your brother. And that's how we want to learn to do that. Do not undertake his function or you will forget yours. Remember, his job, he knows all the different parts and how they go together, and he can help guide us and change our thinking. But that's not for us as individuals. We need to, how does it say it? Consciously selected miracles can be misguided. Well, this is a good example of it. You don't know the whole plan, so you don't want to decide what that person needs to learn and not learn. You want to see the holiness in everything they do. Do not undertake his function or you will forget yours. Accept only the function of healing in time, because that is what time is for. God gave you the function to create in eternity. You do not need to learn this, but you do need to learn to want this. For this all learning was made. You do not need to learn this, that your function is to create in eternity. You do not need to learn this, but you do need to learn to want this. We want to learn to want that. See, there's a good, and he says there, and for this all learning was made. This is the Holy Spirit's good use of an ability which you do not need, but which you have made. This ability to learn, let's use it, even though you don't need it because you know, but let's use learning the way the Holy Spirit leads us to help correct all errors gently without adding more fear. Give to him. You do not know how to use it. He will teach you how to see yourself without condemnation by learning how to look on everything without condemnation. Condemnation will then not be real to you, and all your errors will be forgiven. You'll see that they were illusions. You'll see just the voice of God, just truth. Okay, so we know what we're going to do. Our morning and evening, in the morning, you're going to take 15 minutes now, and then 15 minutes in the afternoon or evening, where you get to set the times. And like I said, I do it about sunrise and sunset. And at those times, in the morning one, we're going to read the lesson 61 review, and then throughout the day in the morning, bring that to your memory. In the afternoon, you'll do the lesson 62. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. So I think we all know what we're going to do. Let's part with a little song. This is that little light of mine song that I am the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. I am the light of the world, that is my only function. I am the light of the world, that is my only function. I am the light of the world, that is my only function. That is my why I am here. I am the light of the world, that is my only function. I am the light of the world, that is my only function. I am the light of the world, that is my only function. That is why I am here. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. As the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. As the light of the world. I am the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world.